That's 10-4. We're just not going to be able to get that launch. Like, we're not going to be able to be probably 50 feet back from that white line where like we would launch off pit road. In front of him also wants to do single car, so they're not going to roll right away. We could go now and drag our feet if you want. They're starting to creep. Yeah, go ahead. That should be a decent spot. Clear up on the blend. Just keep your left on it all the way to exit of 2.
I get him. I got it.
Catching them fast. I just didn't want to hit him there on entry.
Up at 2. Don't climb the hill here. We're on top of 3 and 4 coming to the green. I'll count you down.
You got to start rolling. Copy.
Up and keep your left sides on the bottom all the way through 1 and 2. All right, you got to stay on the bottom the whole time. And obviously, we can't do that if there's traffic coming, right? So I'll try to blend you up the best I can.
Blend up before the banking, preferably.
If they had TBA on the entry list and they didn't have a driver yet, he said, you know what, I'm going to call and see if they'll put me in their car. Eventually it happened, and here he is years later, and now making his first step to run full-time at this level.
Also unique that he lives in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
Not a local guy there in Charlotte, doing it from Wisconsin, which makes travel a little more difficult to get with the teams and do just the daily stuff that goes with being a driver, but he's able to make it work.
And he's kind of seen both sides of this series. Got a couple starts with Joe Gibbs Racing and did a great job, and has also driven for a lot of these midfield teams and tried to work his way into getting full time with them, and now has this opportunity in the 07. I just think he's one of those cool, hardworking stories, wants to be here, wants the opportunity, he's made it happen.
Saw Ryan Ellis earlier in the 02. He made the move to Young's Motorsports. Got a teammate this weekend driving the 42, Carson Hocevar, who's doing triple duty. Obviously, full-time Cup driver, just got the extension with Spire, but he's going to run the truck race tonight and will also compete here tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, did a little racing over at New Smyrna during the week, earlier this week. Ran the late models over there. He's racing just everything he can, and I love it. Get in this car as many days as you can.
I'm glad it's bright yellow, because I can assure you that this car will be worth watching.
It always is.
I can just tell you, from what we've seen out of him in the Cup Series and the Truck Series, this will be one worth watching.
Think about how good he did last night in the duel. It was very impressive. Qualified 4th for the truck race tonight, so now he's got speed. He'll be a player there. And I did see Luke Lambert, his Cup crew chief, down in the O'Reilly Auto Parts garage today, so he's in and around making sure everything is where it needs to be. And I know the cars are different and all of that, but just that added track time, there's going to be some nice communication between those two that will help Friday to Saturday to Sunday.
And in super speedway racing, you know, this is one of the places where I think the car differences is maybe the least in terms of mattering as much. It's more about making those decisions in the draft, in a race, just racing, drafting decisions. Even though the arrow's a little bit different, what you're trying to accomplish in each car is a little bit different. Just having that chance to be making those decisions time after time. I used to think iRacing was great for that. Yeah, it wasn't the best representation of exactly what you went through, but that week leading up to a super speedway, it was a great way to get your brain just thinking about those split-second moves you have to make if you want to be at the front.
Watching Sheldon Creed on track. Let's get an update 00 with Dylan.
Yeah, and as you see, they've got the Chevy logo on the nose of that race car this year for the Haas factory group that, of course, switched over from Ford last year. It was interesting talking with Jonathan Toney, who crew chiefs his car earlier today. There are so many Chevrolets in this garage area now. I kind of asked him, like, how do you choose who you want to work with? And he made an interesting point that he thinks maybe some of the dancing partners, so to speak, will come down to what kind of engines you run. So there's teams like this group and their Alliance cars that run the Hendrick Motorsports engines. There's other Chevrolet teams that run the ECR engines. And JT kind of mentioned that, you know, you may not search those guys out, but if you can help a fellow Hendrick engine car in their case, that may be what it comes down to at the end of this race tomorrow. So I just thought that was interesting. We talked so much about who you want to work with, and it has trickled down all the way to the engine department now.
Yeah, and I found if you have a choice, a lot of times it comes down with who you like, right? Who's going to help you the most? And when you get down to the end of these, it seems like all of those relationships of manufacturers become harder and harder in the closing laps to stick with someone, because we're selfish as a driver. You want to do what's going to benefit you the most. You don't really care about the rest of it.
I'm glad you said it, because I'd avoid you at all costs, Lee.
Let me tell you, selfish driver mentality, it doesn't just happen on the racetrack. It happens in the broadcast booth,
up here. We count words said the whole time.
What's going on, Kim?
Let him go by you, then you're clear.
Yeah, catching up with Justin Allgaier has wrapped up the practice session out after a whopping 1 lap. So 1 lap in the car. What were you able to figure out from that?
Well, the biggest thing is just understanding where we're at with our brand fresh Golden Chevrolet. I'm excited. I see a couple of teammates up there with some Hendrick Chevrolet horsepower under the hood is in the draft, right? So that's a good thing. But, you know, for us, you know, being around the sport for a long time, I felt like it was more important for us to keep the car clean, get out there, see what our car's got, make sure that there's no issues. You never really know when you get to Daytona. You want to make sure. And this team does such an amazing job. And Andrew Overstreet has spent all off-season really, you know, focusing in on what we need to do to be as best as we can with this 7 team. And I'm excited for it. You know, I don't know where we're qualified, but past history has shown that this team will race really, really well. And I couldn't be more happy for that.
Well, JRM always looking good on the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Also looking good on the Cup side of things for the 2nd straight year, putting an entrant into the Daytona 500. That's huge. And I know this year for you, it was a lot less chaotic.
Remember, roll up left side. It was one more.
And it brings to the overall team.
Well, I think if you saw any of our social media right there on TV, you're seeing it. The emotion of Wednesday night was through the roof. Last night, we obviously no emotion because it was pretty boring.
A good thing, right?
A good thing, yes. But, you know, I just, you know, watching the duels, being a part of it last year, I've said it all weekend. You know, I don't think people realize when you're an open team trying to go over the Daytona 500 how stressful it is. But it was awesome. That whole group of great guys and that whole 40 team and Traveler Whiskey has been a lot of fun to be a part of. You know, coming back over here to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series side, you know, we're excited. You know, to see O'Reilly Auto Parts come in as an entitlement sponsor. We're going to miss Xfinity, right? We're all going to miss saying as fast as Xfinity Mobile. But at the end of the day, what you know, O'Reilly is trying to do with this sport, it really is special. And we're all pumped to have them here. We look forward to you know, what this season holds. You know, the chase format, all the different changes we've got. I'm cautiously optimistic we're gonna have a great year, but I'm really, really excited about what we got. And we're as bright as anything I've ever seen.
I know. Look at this suit.
Yeah, I am bright this time around. So we're gonna go with it, and hopefully that means our season's gonna be bright.
All right, we're gonna let Justin skip over to the Cup Garage. I know he's got to get ready for Cup Series practice in just a little bit. This Daytona February race, though, on the O'Reilly Auto Parts side, still eluding Justin. It's something that he told us during pre-race media he wanted to check off his resume.
I would put Justin in the opposite category of a man of few words. I don't know technically what that's called.
I think he knows TV
He's
real well.
He's a talker.
He knows TV real well, and he knows, hey, we'd like to hear from the former champion.
He spent more time in that interview, maybe double, than he did making laps in practice.
He did.
I do think it's great, though, what happened here a year ago for Junior Motorsports. And I guess if you know you're going to get in doing it the dramatic way, it's kind of cool. But, boy, what happened here Wednesday night, knowing you're locked in on speed and you don't have to worry about the duel, is a nice thing. And, hey, they didn't just get into the Daytona 500 last year. Justin finished inside the top 10, and I'm sure they'll have good speed in the 500 on Sunday. That is sold out, by the way.
I saw Justin earlier today in the garage, and I gave him a fist bump and said, that had to feel nice. And he looked at me and said, you literally don't understand.
Such a different weekend for him than a year ago.
Oh, well, I've done having to race your way into the Daytona 500, and I've told you and talked about how it was the most stressful week of my entire life. And I thought afterwards making it was the most amazing feeling, and then I thought, I never want to do that again.
Well,
he signed up for it twice.
Think about that wave of emotions for Anthony Alfredo, who made it in and then had the issue in post-race tech, and now is not going to be in. I mean, like, he had it all within about an hour of each other.
Gut-wrenching.
Taylor Gray, 5th on the board, watching the 54 here. Let's get an update. Jeremy Clements. Here's Dylan.
Yeah, they, I don't believe, have been on the racetrack yet. They're having an issue keeping the car running. So the crew is back here, and also some folks from Hendrick Engines, who is another one of those teams because of their alliance with Haas Factory that is running those Hendrick engines. So that group is back here trying to diagnose exactly why the car will not stay running. And it sounds like maybe we have some radio from Jeremy that might explain some more.
Throwing A's in here, probably a little bit more than that.
I get spinning over, but it won't fire.
I just got it too, actually. Oh, turns off. Something's not right here. Yeah, it won't stay fired, boy.
10-4.
Sounds electrical to me, right? Like you see those buttons that he's got on a steering wheel. There's a kill switch there that they've implemented years ago. If your throttle hung, it's the one on the right, the red button. A lot of times that can go bad, or it could be, you know, just something in the wiring of the car. But the fact that it's spinning over tells you that starter works, but it's not getting any fire.
It's not the way this team wants to kick off their year. They made the investment into making that alliance with HFT, have the Hendrick motors, and you get to the first practice session kicking through.
I will say, though, if you're going to skip practice anywhere,
this is where the practice pays off.
The place to do it.
Okay, I'm getting a bunch of bleed over. I don't know if it's just because everybody's up here on the roof talking at the same time, but something about watching the car and how much you're coming off the yellow line through the corners.
Yes, yeah. Because like I said, in here I feel like I'm on it, but then like last night you're watching the onboard. Onboard looks like you're on it, and then outside you're a little bit off it. So I just wanted to kind of know.
Okay. If you don't mind me talking during your run, I'll let you know where you're at in both ends, just for so you can reference and kind of gauge it.
Okay.
Yeah, biggest thing to focus on here is just your launch, which your launch isn't the end of the world if you don't get a perfect launch, but the bigger thing than that is your shift points. You cannot miss a shift. That happened to somebody in the truck series that had to qualify in, and they missed a shift and missed the race, and they shouldn't have.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, 5-0, just for reference, 5-0, 50 degrees, too hot.
Okay. Third gear, 5 red. 3, 2, 1, now. 1 to come by, then you're good. All clear right there. All right. If you're good, we'll go back to the garage. Yep, all good. You want to just run the apron in 3 and 4, get everything cooled off before you get back to the garage? Yep.
It'll be the 19. The 26 is swamping over now. They're getting ready to come out.
Yeah, it drives really good, so anything you want to do?
I mean, if you don't mind going out there and having to come back, they're off at turn 2 now. They're still separated about 7.
So far, you can bring it to us there.
Come to you this time.
Place going to be sold out. Always a show.
I'm looking forward to the truck race tonight because Stewart being in it, there's a lot of guys. Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch that.
Look at this guy, 48, Big Machine Racing, Patrick Starpoli, the eye doctor, the eye surgeon, who's taking a sabbatical from his practice in Houston, moved up to the Charlotte, North Carolina area and said, I'm going to go full tilt and see if I can make a play in this 48 in 2026.
And where did he go to school?
Especially on Cup side.
Harvard. I mean,
like now driving at Daytona in the O'Reilly Series. It's one of the wildest stories I think we've ever seen in NASCAR.
Did you know the answer to that question?
I did.
You were just teeing him up.
I was teeing him up.
I couldn't tell if you were really...
First person in his family to graduate from college, and I thought it was cool that his dad and his grandfather raced. And they always told him, you can race, but education first. He obviously took that to heart.
Put that at a high bar.
Yes, no doubt.
He has a great story, and we learned so much about him a few weeks ago when we got to sit down and listen to his story. I had no clue how much racing he'd actually done in the past, and super thankful for this opportunity. And guys, the reality is, I know he's an eye doctor, but he was pretty impressive at the races that he ran last year. I thought he did an exceptional job. He's in a really good car. This year, it's going to be fun to watch what he can do when he gets to be out here every single week. Because, Parker, the one thing that I have seen historically is it's almost harder to race every single week than it is when they come in and you have more time to prep. But when you get in the grind of doing it every single week, if things aren't going well, it just escalates quickly.
It beats you up, it compounds, and you have to have that compartmentalization to be able to switch race to race, different types of tracks, and that all adds up. It's such a tougher thing to be full-time, but I spoke to his crew chief, Patrick Donahue, and he said they've been in the sim as much as humanly possible.
Good for them.
Up to this race, trying to get him up to speed in every sort of racetrack.
That team won in the draft last year in Atlanta with Nick Sanchez. This guy won in the draft 3 times a season ago. Austin Hill getting the sweep at Talladega, also won at Atlanta, and he's been great here in the season.
But they're going around us here now, a bunch of them.
You want me to back up, or y'all gonna push me back?
Push you.
Continued, things got wild, and he just shot right down the boulevard. A little contact once again. We get a crash. 21 out front. He said, give me some more. And then a season later, once again, under caution, 21 out front in 2024. He got the Daytona hat trick. The best all time of the draft. 10 victories in this style of racing. He's won all the drafted tracks, Talladega, Daytona, and Atlanta. This guy is special from Winston, Georgia.
I think what makes this so special is it's pretty rare that you get a guy that is one of the best drafters to also get in one of the best cars, and it's not just been like typically it kind of goes year to year with the which engine, which car, but RCR over the past 5 years they have just had exceptional cars at these type of racetracks, and he's been able to capitalize on it along with his teammate Jesse Love. Do you have more on Austin, Kim?
Got it.
Yeah, it's interesting, Jamie, talking about RCR and the cars they bring to super speedways and how they're always so fast, especially the last handful of years. It surprised me talking to crew chief Chad Haney that they actually spent extra time during the off-season on their Daytona car, on their super speedway stuff in general. And, we kind of take it for granted how good they are at these tracks, but Chad said they felt like everybody was kind of catching up at the end of last season, and they couldn't just assume that they could show up with the same thing at the track and have the same results. And so they worked really hard on this car, probably spent more time than anybody would guess getting it ready for Daytona. So possibly expect big things out of this team here this weekend.
No doubt, high expectations. And Austin told us about all that work he did in the off-season, making sure he's ready to go. I'm anxious to watch him race, and it all begins for him here tomorrow evening on CW. Carla, what do you have for us?
Car speed.
Yeah, here with William Sawalich, and really the first time that fans have gotten to hear from William after concussion-like symptoms, sitting out 2 races just last season. You're back in the car, you're back on a super speedway, back for your 2nd year in a row. How's it feel to be back out there?
Yeah, I mean, car feels really good. It feels good to be back with the guys, and we're really confident for this year. And our Sound Gear GR Supra was actually pretty good out there for only 1 lap and just keeping laps off of it. Made a few practice runs down pit road and called it good.
Feel good about practice overall, though?
Absolutely, yeah. I think we're pretty confident for the race, and we ran here. We ran pretty good here last July, so a lot of confidence heading in.
On pit road if you guys want to roll out.
It's pretty cool, not only coming back for his 2nd season, but doing it with the same crew chief and Jeff Mendering, which to me really goes a long way in setting you up for success. There's a look at Jeff, longtime crew chief veteran when it comes to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. And here's Raja Karuth in the 88. He's got a veteran leading the way as well on the pit box, Marty Lindley.
He did his 1 lap, and now he's done his run onto pit road. So this is exactly going to plan what he told us earlier before practice started. I got to tell you.
And a practice into pit stall. He knocked it all out in one shot there. Great job.
Nailed it. Right into the 14 right there. I got to tell you, my Raja, a couple years ago, I used to spend a lot of time on iRacing.